in the BAC Strikemaster. Now this family of training aircraft that I was talking to and mentioning the name Jet Provost, it was a British jet-powered trainer aircraft used by the Royal Air Force from 1955 right through until 1993. It was also very successfully exported, serving in many air forces around the world. But the family goes back really to the early 50s, and the Royal Air Force issued a requirement for a new dedicated jet training aircraft to replace the old Percival Provost. And I'm very glad with Andy here I didn't train on that one. I trained on the jet, and great fun it was too. Lines, as you can see. Well, this is the sharp end of that family, but the first one took to the skies as a prototype in June 1954, making its flights from the factory, which is now Luton Airport. And the Air Ministry, as it was known at the time, they went for 10, and that quickly was successful, with a few refinements featuring the Armstrong Siddeley Viper jet engine, ejector seats, and a slightly redesigned airframe. The MOD then ordered 40 of these in 1957, I should say, and had a slightly improved undercarriage as well. Well, it really did settle down. It's actually quite a benign aircraft flight. Doesn't fly horrifically fast. It's quite stable. You'll see a low speed pass coming up from Mark in a couple of minutes' time, and it's really quite maneuverable. But its development into a pressurised aircraft in the 60s led to the T5 and then eventually to the Strikemaster. Having become a T51 for the export version, it was sold to Sri Lanka, Kuwait and Sudan, armed with two 7.7mm machine guns, and also used by Iraq, South Yemen and Venezuela as well. So widespread interest in this family of aircraft. But this one is a combat derivative of the Mark V itself, and had huge success, and particularly with this colour scheme, with the combat in the Oman-Yemeni wars. It's a very tough aircraft. It's got an armoured cockpit, the single robust Rolls-Royce Viper engine I mentioned, and manual flying controls. And this aircraft was imported into UK from Oman in 2004 by its pilot today, Mark Petrie. You will have noticed its very distinctive immaculate grey training colour scheme from its service in Oman. And although one of the youngest aircraft, now well into its 30th year of service. Not having the same performance as modern jets, of course, takes up a bit more airspace to show itself off. And Mark, I think, now slowing the aircraft down. He's actually an ex-Royal Air Force pilot himself. He now flies 777s and 787s for British Airways. But in the RAF, he flew a whole range of jets. Started on the Chipmunk, then went to the JP, the Hawk, the Phantom, the Tornado F3 aircraft. And he's co-owned and displayed this Mark 82 Strikemaster since 2004. And here, as I say now, you can see how incredibly slow this is. It's just over 100 miles an hour. It's absolutely nothing really. It's not even high alpha. It's just made to fly this, and therefore you can see it allows the students in the training phase to not overstretch themselves by having to fly in a trainer aircraft too fast on the approach to an airfield. Very much just went with the maximum performance it could give you. The Mark V, of course, being the best and the most comfortable with the pressurised cockpit to train and fly. Side-by-side seating, when you're in it, the dashboard, as I say, the cockpit feels a little bit cramped. The earlier ejection seats are very upright and not terribly comfortable, and the instrument panel itself actually very, very close to you indeed. And not the most ergonomically designed aircraft as many of these were. Of course now with computer modelling and everything else, and that being applied to the cockpit as well as the airframe, everything's so much more ergonomically pleasant. No digital stuff in these aircraft at all. Well, I suspect he's got a GPS and a bit of mapping in there, but just to get around the country, but not a lot else. Quite a lot of airspace, around about 3,000 feet or so, maybe a touch more up in that loop. Mark is very much familiar with this. He's been flying this for a long time now. He actually was born in Canada and moved to the UK in 1972 and has lived up in North Wales for the last 12 years, hence the company that this aircraft is embedded with and maintains it, the North Wales Military Aviation Services Company. This particular aircraft, though, is quite peculiar in that it was never made and constructed as a total piece. It is generally referred to as 425 and very much the last of the many. And that's because it all goes back to an arms embargo on the Sudan contract, and only a couple of those aircraft were delivered. And then the remaining bits and pieces of the airframes were unfinished, and many of them stored, would you believe, just up the road here at British Aerospace's Bournemouth factory. Well, what happened was the Omanis lost one of their aircraft and needed a replacement for it. So they went back to the company to ask whether they could use some of the spare fuselages, engines and so on and so forth from the Sudan order in order to put another aircraft together. And the net result was an aircraft that was put together without a set construction number from the start, and it ended up as this Mark 82 Strikemaster number 425. Quite a unique aircraft in many respects. It was ferried to Oman by two serving SOAF pilots in 1986 and commenced its service with one squadron based at Royal Air Force Oman Mazira. It was later ferried down to sea, but these are familiar bases to retired veteran Royal Air Force personnel who may be here today with us. Then went on to being used as an instructional aircraft. Pulling up now, he loves this. He would have been given clearance to about 5,000 feet today, courtesy of Bournemouth Air Traffic Control. And with a big smile on his face, without giving us the chance to give him a proper wave, I hear Strikemaster being passed across on the airwaves to Bournemouth Control, and we just hope you enjoyed that, and a couple of minutes ahead of time from what I see there, so just a little bit short, and thank you very much indeed to the Little Dam Centre for supporting that. We very much appreciate your support in bringing all these aircraft to us. Well, a quick recap then, Andy, what's coming up in the next